Hello guys, welcome again to your boy's channel, Esoteric Cloud Surfer here, ready to take a ride in another esoteric cloud. And what is esoteric cloud? Right, is a lighter vehicle, a less dense vehicle, and a vehicle that is riding or vibing on a higher frequency that our spirit can jump into in order to float, because it's less dense than the vehicles that we are using in this realm right now. As the clouds in the sky, they float above this realm, we can also float above this realm and get feeling ourselves lighter and more expanded and bigger. Okay, so this video today is why global warming is fake. Okay, because this is very important, because many people channel their attention, their energy, some even their actions. They organize organizations, right? They create organizations, they create fashions, they create factions, not fashions as in clothes and shit like that. They create funds, they mobilize people, they create social media pages, and they gather a lot of attention and a lot of energy, okay, into something that is birthed out of fear, out of guilt, out of scarcity and insecurity, okay? And it's very important, at least for me, to clear that aspect of many people's lives, because that's what I do. I'm esoteric cloud surfer, right? I ride the esoteric waves. In a esoteric cloud, in a lighter vehicle, okay? So I like to bring things lighter, not to the lighter as in weight, okay? Because our life doesn't need to be heavy and dense. And there are there are some illusions, there are some magic squares, there are some psyops, okay, that are meant to keep people in fear, low perspective of the world, like keep people from believing in all possibilities, and instead making people believe in demise, in torture, because physical torture is not the worst type of torture. But I think you get my point. My point here is to lighten up the situation, is to show you that you don't need to fear, okay, our world ending. You don't need to blame anybody else. And you don't need to change your life or others' lives in order to achieve something. Because that's another goal. Why these psyops exist is to make you change your life in a way that is convenient to whoever is making you react and respond. Okay? So, why is global warming fake? Okay? First, the most important notion that you have to have is that Earth is a being in itself, and a very powerful being, okay? Earth, Gaia, Tiamat, Malakuth, because those names are not the being. We call the being those names, okay? But the being we live in, as you have many beings living inside of you, you also live inside of a being. And that being that we call Earth in this age, it's a very powerful being. It's more powerful than you, not spiritually, okay, but physically, okay? Why? Because you live inside of it, because it's bigger than you. So it influences you way more than you influence it, okay? So it's a very powerful being, Earth, in itself. It's a whole organism, it's a whole ecosystem, and that can heal herself, or it can heal itself, okay? So you don't need to do anything to save Earth. Earth saves herself. Earth can heal herself back. Earth can even expel the malice or the bad things, okay? And how does Earth heal herself? It's cyclical, okay? As you go through your phases, you go through your cycles, Earth as well go through her cycles, okay? And in some cycles it is very hot, on Earth. In some cycles it is very cold on Earth, and in some cycles it's chill and cool and normal, okay? So when the temperature rises, it's not because of factories, it's not because of cars, it's not because of waste, it's natural, okay? Because Earth has its own cycle, Earth has its own phases, okay? So it's natural that the temperature is rising, okay? So there is nobody's fault that the temperature is rising, alright? Then the CO2, which is what the scientists say is the cause of the global warming, actually brings cold, okay? Because there was a group of scientists, and I do not believe in science, but when a scientist brings something that goes against the major science belief, I like to see what he's saying, okay? Because many times you don't see those scientists that go against their peers, you don't see them on the news, you don't see them on the magazines, and you don't see them everywhere. But a group of scientists went and took some ice from the Arctic region or the Antarctic region, I'm not sure, but I believe it was the Arctic region, because the ice from those regions, it can keep memory from the earth, like pollen, ashes from volcanic eruptions, things like that, from old ages. And through layers of ice, they can perceive how was the climate on Earth. And what the ice shows is what I just told you about the cyclical nature of the being that we live in, aka Earth. Okay? So that shows you that global warming is natural. It's not caused by anything than the being itself. Okay? Then you don't need to do anything. You don't need to raise funds. You don't need to share information and create organizations, okay, or to share things on social media, because the earth in itself has resets as well, like floods, mud floods, solar flares, grand solar minimums, and things like that, okay? Because the story of the Bible of the flood is both esoterical and physical, okay? But the floods in itself are another video, okay? But they are true. Mud floods are true as well. And that's the way of Earth to clean herself, okay? And Earth doesn't do that like, oh, bad humans on me, I have to clean. No. This is the Earth cleaning herself. She's not against anybody. She's just cleaning herself, okay? So you don't need to save Earth once again, because Earth can save herself. Earth can heal herself, okay? And actually, I forgot to mention that the CO2 actually helps plants grow. The more there is of CO2 in the atmosphere, the more plants grow, okay? There is a video by Static in the Attic that talks about that. Go check him out. He has some nice content, okay? I just remember that he has a video talking about that, where they make an experiment. In a greenhouse, they pump CO2 air from a nearby factory. In the other, they don't. And from the plants, where it's being pumped, I believe, also into the ground, some CO2, they grow way larger. So the CO2 doesn't kill. The CO2 helps the plants. Okay? Keep that in mind. And what they call fossil fuel, and they will end, they're so polluted. No, actually oil is the blood, or a form of blood of the being that we live in right now. Because you have blood from your arteries, full of oxygen. You have blood from your veins, full of CO2. You have your lymphatic system. So just in 3 examples, you have 3 different types of fluid. Okay, so the same, not exactly the same, but some same things happen with Earth. She has different type of fluids, okay? And oil, it's the blood of the being that we live in, okay? It's not something that will end, or it's not something that it's prejudicial to the being in itself, okay? Then, also, overpopulation, okay? It's one of the main things. People say that the overpopulation is killing Earth. No, that's fake, okay? Overpopulation doesn't exist, okay? If you spend your whole life in a city, it's easy for you to believe that overpopulation is true. But ever was you on a field trip through the countryside? It's immense, vast portions of land that doesn't even have one house, okay? And in Portugal, where I live, which is one of the smallest countries in the world, okay, there are towns who suffer from inhabitation, towns who are disappearing. So how do you justify that in the smallest country in the world, okay, there is not the smallest, but one of the smallest countries, there is no enough people to populate some towns? Because if this country is very small, everybody should be overpopulated. Everywhere should be overpopulated, right? But no, okay? No, that's not true. And even in the biggest countries, like America, Brazil, there are huge portions of land who doesn't have a single habitant. A single one, okay? So overpopulation... I'm sorry, y'all. Overpopulation is just an illusion to make you believe that Earth is being used and